Every holiday, my family branded me the embarrassment. So I bought my dream apartment, threw the party of the year, invited everyone except them, and when they saw the photos on social media, the glorious comments became my sweetest revenge. I 32M, and honestly, I never thought I'd reach a point where I'd completely cut my family out of my life, but here we are. Growing up, I always felt like the odd one. My siblings were stars in both sports and academics, while I struggled pretty much everywhere. My parents made it clear from an early age that I was their disappointment. Family gatherings? Those felt like torture. My mom would proudly introduce my older brother as a successful lawyer and my sister as a brilliant doctor, and then it would be my turn. More often than not, she'd kind of gloss over me or mention me in a way that screamed embarrassment, saying I was just trying to figure things out. My dad didn't help either, insisting that I needed to get my act together and stop being a disgrace to the family name. Everything came to a head last Christmas. We were at my parents' house, and relatives were asking about everyone's achievements. My brother had just made partner at his firm, and my sister had research published in a medical journal. When it was my turn, I mentioned that I had been promoted to senior software engineer at a major tech company. I was doing well, good salary, exciting projects, but my dad scoffed and said I was just playing around with computers like I was still a kid. My mom jumped in, reassuring everyone that I was finally making enough to support myself, but then adding that she wasn't sure how long that would last. My sister even laughed, saying she couldn't believe anyone would trust me with important software. The room went silent, and I could feel my face getting hot. That night, I decided I was done. I threw myself into work, saving up for months. The promotion came with a nice raise, and I lived well below my means. Soon enough, I was looking for a new apartment in the most exclusive part of the city, determined to find a place that would make a statement. The one I found was perfect. A 2-bedroom corner unit on the 35th floor with floor-to-ceiling windows showing off the skyline. The building had a doorman, a rooftop terrace, and a gym that looked like it belonged in a magazine. The rent was more than my parents' mortgage, but I could afford it easily. Moving day felt surreal. I stood in my empty apartment, gazing down at the city below, and for the first time in years, I felt something new. Pride. This was mine. I earned it through hard work. Despite everything my family had said, I spent the next few weeks furnishing my space. I didn't go overboard, but I made sure everything was high quality, like a sleek sectional sofa, a dining table for 8, some artwork for the walls, and a sound system that filled the place with amazing sound. It looked like something out of an architecture magazine. Then, while I was setting up my home office, I got the idea for a party. I wanted to celebrate this achievement, this new chapter in my life. More than anything, I wanted to show everyone who doubted me what I was capable of. Planning it was meticulous. I reached out to old college friends, coworkers, neighbors from my last place, and some acquaintances from social media. I hired a catering company that specialized in upscale events and set up an open bar. I even rented extra furniture for the crowd I was expecting. The invites went out 3 weeks ahead of time, digital ones featuring photos of my apartment and city views. Everyone I could think of was invited except my family. No parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, or cousins. They weren't on the list. Responses came pouring in right away. People were excited, impressed by the apartment photos, and eager to celebrate with me. It felt incredible to have others genuinely happy for my success instead of trying to undermine it. 2 weeks before the party, I started dropping hints on social media, pictures of the apartment at sunset, the view from my balcony, taste tests of the catering samples. I made sure my privacy settings allowed my family to see these posts, but I didn't engage with any of their comments. My mom was the first to reach out, texting me about the apartment and mentioning she'd seen my posts. She said it looked nice and asked when I'd have everyone over to see it. I read her message and deleted it without replying. The next day, my dad called, leaving a voicemail that said he heard I moved and wanted to know why I hadn't told them about the party he saw online. He claimed the family was confused about not being invited and that my mom was hurt. I saved that voicemail but didn't respond. Then, my brother tried his luck, messaging me on social media to congratulate me on the apartment and ask if there was a mistake with the invites. He said everyone was excited to see the place and celebrate. I left him on read. The night of the party arrived, and my apartment was transformed. Caterers had elegantly arranged food stations throughout the living room and kitchen. The bar was stocked with top-shelf liquor, wine, and craft beer. I'd even hired a photographer to capture the night, with soft jazz playing in the background. Guests began arriving at 7, and within an hour, the place was buzzing with laughter and conversation. Everyone was genuinely impressed, and I found myself surrounded by friends and colleagues who were excited to be there. Around 9 p.m., I decided to make a toast. Standing on my balcony with the city lights twinkling behind me, I raised my glass. I thanked everyone for coming and for being such an important part of my life. I expressed my gratitude for their support and friendship, especially during tough times. People cheered and raised their glasses, and someone shouted that I deserved all the success in the world. The party went on until well past midnight. People didn't want to leave, with several mentioning it was one of the best parties they'd been to in years. When the last guests said goodbye, many hugged me, saying how proud they were of me. The photographer handed me a USB filled with hundreds of photos from the night. The next morning, I woke up feeling better than I had in months. As I cleaned up and looked through the photos, I realized something significant had shifted. I had surrounded myself with people who valued and supported me, and for the first time in years, I felt genuinely happy. I chose the best photos from the party and created an album for social media filled with pictures of smiling friends, beautiful food spreads, laughter on the balcony with the skyline behind us, and shots of the elegantly decorated space. I wrote a caption thanking everyone who came and expressing my gratitude for the amazing friends and colleagues in my life. The response was overwhelming. Comments from attendees flooded in, along with others wishing they could have been there. Friends from different cities praised the photos. But the comments that truly made my day were from people who understood my family situation. One college friend reminisced about how my family always put me down and said it was wonderful to see me surrounded by supportive people. Another noted how clear it was that I had found my chosen family and how happy I looked in every shot. Comments kept rolling in throughout the day, celebrating my success. This was the validation I had craved for years, but it was coming from those who actually mattered to me. 3 days after posting the photos, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. My mom called 6 times in one afternoon, leaving increasingly frantic voicemails. She claimed the whole family saw my posts and couldn't understand why they hadn't been included. She let me know how hurt everyone was and how it was causing drama within the extended family. My sister sent a long text saying she was embarrassed when her friends asked why she wasn't at her brother's amazing party. She said people were speculating about family drama, and she had to make excuses for their absence. The message that hit me the hardest was from my dad. His voicemail started off angry but switched to desperate. He couldn't understand what he'd done wrong and said the family was falling apart because of this. He mentioned how my aunts and uncles had questions and how embarrassing it was to admit they didn't even know about my new place. I listened to those messages but didn't reply. Instead, I took screenshots of the supportive comments from my party posts and saved them. Reading those positive words reminded me why I made my decision in the first place. A week later, my cousin reached out, one of the few family members who'd always been kind to me, and I felt guilty for not inviting her. She understood there was family tension but wanted to meet for coffee to talk about what happened. I agreed, mostly out of curiosity about how the family was handling this. We met at a downtown cafe, and she jumped right in, asking about the apartment and the party. She said the photos looked incredible and that she was genuinely happy for my success. Then she told me what I'd hoped to hear. The family gathering from the previous weekend had been chaotic. My parents spent the whole time trying to figure out how to address the situation, while my siblings were fielding questions from their friends about why they missed the party everyone was buzzing about. My cousin explained that my mom tried to downplay it as a miscommunication with the invitations, but too many people had seen my social media posts for that to fly. Relatives commented on how successful and happy I looked in the photos and how impressed they were with my accomplishments. The best part was hearing about my siblings' reactions. My brother had to admit to his law firm colleagues that he hadn't been invited to his own brother's party, which led to awkward questions about our relationship that he couldn't dodge. My sister faced similar questions from her medical colleagues, who kept bringing up the photos and asking about our family dynamic. My cousin asked if I planned on reconciling with my family, and I told her honestly that I wasn't sure. I explained how years of being treated like the family disappointment affected me, and this party had been my way of surrounding myself with people who truly valued me. A month after the party, things escalated in a way I didn't expect. My mom showed up unannounced at my apartment building. The doorman called to ask if I wanted to see her, and I told him I wasn't available. She waited in the lobby for 3 hours before finally leaving. The next day, I received a certified letter from my parents. It was a formal invitation to a family dinner where they wanted to discuss recent events and work on healing our relationships. It sounded more like a business proposal than an apology, so I tossed it without responding. 2 weeks later, my social media notifications exploded again. My mom commented on the original party photos, writing a long message about how proud she was of my success and how the whole family wanted to celebrate with me. She mentioned some confusion about the invitations but hoped we could move past it. My friends reacted quickly and brutally. Those who had witnessed my family's treatment began commenting with their observations. My college roommate recalled a visit where my parents criticized my life choices the whole time. A coworker chimed in about how I'd shared stories of family gatherings where I felt consistently belittled. The comment that summed it all up came from my best friend from high school, who noted how my parents had called me their disappointment child at my graduation party. He highlighted how amazing it was to see me finally surrounded by people who appreciated my worth. My mom deleted her comment within hours, but not before dozens had responded. I got screenshots sent to me privately along with messages of support. The final straw came when my brother showed up at my workplace. Security called me down, where he was waiting with what he clearly thought was a convincing speech about family obligations and forgiveness. He told me I was being childish, that my behavior was hurting everyone, and that I needed to fix the situation to avoid making the family look bad. When I asked him what exactly I needed to fix, he said I should apologize for excluding them and host another party to save face. I looked at him in his expensive suit, still making this about how it affected him, and realized nothing had changed. He still didn't understand that years of being treated poorly had consequences. I told him I was done talking and walked back to my office. He called after me, claiming I was making a huge mistake and that family was supposed to be forever. I kept walking. 6 months have passed since the party, and my life has been on an upswing. I've been promoted again at work, largely thanks to the confidence I gained from cutting out toxic influences. The energy I used to spend on seeking my family's approval has been redirected towards my career and relationships that truly matter. I've hosted 3 smaller gatherings in my apartment since, intimate dinners with close friends. Each time, I'm reminded of the difference when I'm surrounded by people who genuinely enjoy my company and celebrate my successes without any reservations. My family's attempts at reconciliation have gradually faded. My mom still sends the occasional holiday text, but they've lost their desperate tone. My siblings have moved on to other family dramas, and my dad has stopped calling altogether. The most rewarding aspect has been watching my chosen family grow stronger. Friends who defended me in those social media comments have become even closer, and I've formed new friendships with people who value authenticity over familial obligation. Last month, my cousin texted to give me an update from the latest family gathering. Apparently, my absence has become the new normal, and people have stopped asking about me. She said my parents tell others I'm focusing on my career when asked about me, which feels like the closest respect I'll ever get from them. My apartment brings me joy every day. Waking up to that city view, having a space that's all mine, and knowing I earned every bit through my own hard work. It's a feeling that never gets old. Sometimes I wonder if I'll regret cutting them off completely, but then I think back to that night on the balcony, surrounded by people who were genuinely happy for my success. I remember the comments from friends who witnessed my family's attempts to belittle me over the years, and how validating it felt for that behavior to be publicly called out. The real revenge wasn't just excluding them from one party. It was about building a life so fulfilling that their absence didn't matter. It's about surrounding myself with people who recognize my worth when my own family couldn't. I finally understood that family isn't just about blood. It's about those who choose to support and celebrate you. I don't regret that decision. My only regret is not making it sooner. I'm hosting another gathering next weekend, a celebration for a friend's promotion. As I plan the menu and send out invitations to people who truly matter, I'm reminded that sometimes the best revenge is simply living well, free from those who try to hold you back. The family that always called me the embarrassment learned that exclusion works both ways. Looking at the social media comments and reflecting on my own life, it's obvious who really came out on top.